Good morning students, welcome to lattice theory lecture. In this class, we will be discussing about a particular type of lattices called quotient lattice, or you can call it fractional lattice. So let's go back. In last class, we have seen about congruence lattice. So in this class, we will go to this lecture 1, lecture 11. So in this class, we will discuss about what is meant by uh, quotient lattice. Okay, so I hope you can able to see what I am writing, right? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So what is this quotient lattice? You might have seen quotient group and all similar to this. So start with, so let L be a lattice and theta be a congruence relation on L. We already seen what is meant by congruence relation and so on. Then we will collect. So we will denote L modulo theta as all this theta of A is in L. We have seen they are all convex sublattices. We have proved that this theta of A is a convex sublattices. So we have collected all possible convex sublattices. Then on this set, we will define two relations, namely join and meet. So theta of A meet theta of B. We will define them as theta of A meet B. Why this makes sense? Because if A and B are in L, then L is a lattice. So A meet B is again in L. So theta of A meet B belongs to L modulo theta. Similarly, theta of A join theta of B, how we can define? We can define this as theta of A join B. Okay, so we are defining these two relations on this set. Then we can check that it is actually a, because it is clearly closed, so this also belongs to L modulo theta. This also belongs to L modulo theta. So therefore, this L modulo theta with respect to these two is a lattice. Of course, we have to verify that this join and meet, they are well defined. So we have to verify that this meet and join are well defined. What is meant by well defined? Whenever A is, if A1 is theta of A1 is equal to theta of A2, then you should have using substitution property and so on. That means if A1 uh, is congruent to B1 modulo theta and A2 is congruent to B2 modulo theta, then what can you say about theta of A1 meet theta of A2 B2? See, this A and B we have taken here. So A1 is congruent to uh, B1 and A2 is congruent to B2. So we have to check. This implies A1 meet A2 is congruent to B1 meet B2 modulo theta by substitution property. Okay, this implies. So what can you say about if A1 meet A2 is congruent to B1 meet B2, then this theta of A1 meet A2 is actually equal to theta of B1 meet B2. Okay. So there is it is same, theta of A1 meet B2 is same as theta of B1 meet B2. That shows that it is well defined. Similarly, you can check for join also. Okay. So whatever this lattice is called, so definition is that this L modulo theta and together with this meet and join is called the quotient lattice. Okay, it's called quotient lattice, or sometimes also it is called fraction lattice. It is concept is similar to quotient group. Okay, So where what is this meet and join is defined here. Okay, theta of A meet theta of B is theta of A meet B, and theta of A join theta of B is theta of A join B. Okay, fine. Now, what are all things we can observe with this quotient lattice is, if you recall in group theory, if you have G and H is a normal subgroup, then G modulo H is what we have similar here, L modulo theta. Okay, a small lemma we can prove is that this there is a natural homomorphism from L modulo theta. So you can call it phi maps from L going to L modulo theta is actually onto homomorphism. Onto homomorphism. So what is this map? The map is that you take any element A in L. So for any A in L, how we will define phi of A? So that should be an element here. But how elements are look like here? This theta of E, right? So once we define like this, then you can clearly check that this map is, this should be a well defined map. That means if A and if A is equal to B, then we know that A is obviously congruent to B modulo theta. Okay, because they are actually equal, so they are equally with respect to congruent also. That is same as saying that theta of A is same as theta of B, right? So therefore our phi is well defined. Now our phi is well defined, and why it is onto? The onto is clear because this L modulo theta is of this elements theta of A for some A in L. So clearly, so that A is coming from L, so clearly this phi is onto, because this if you take any element theta of A, this is how it look like in L of theta, because for any theta of A is in L such that phi of A is our theta of A. So that's why clearly it is onto. Now you can check that this is a homomorphism. Why this is a homomorphism? That means we want to show that with respect to meet and join, it preserves. Okay. So if we take A meet B, then what is phi of A meet B? Phi of A meet B is theta of A meet B. But how this is defined? This is same as theta of A meet theta of B, and this is same as phi of A meet phi of B. Right? Similarly, you can prove it. So similarly, phi of A join B is phi of A join phi of B. Right? That shows that this implies this phi is a onto homomorphism. That means this is actually a natural homomorphism from a lattice to quotient lattice with respect to that congruence relation theta, simply sending A to theta of A. Right? Yes, just like how we have this similarity you can observe. The similarity you can observe if you have from G is a group and this quotient 1, then how we will send here is simply sending any element. If you take A, then you send it to A plus H, which is a coset, right? So here cosets, here what we have are congruence relations, right? Now whatever we have here, similarly we can prove a result. You can call it, which is a homomorphism theorem. Homomorphism theorem. So what it says is that if you take any lattice L, so any homomorphic image of a lattice L is isomorphic to some suitable quotient lattice. Quotient lattice of L. So this is same as saying that is if phi is a map from L to L1, okay, is a onto homomorphism. Onto homomorphism. So if given an onto homomorphism and theta is a congruence relation, theta is a congruence, because whenever we want to talk about quotient, we require a congruence relation. Okay, so whenever theta is a congruence relation on L defined by suppose if I take theta or A is congruent to B modulo theta, if and only if, that means they are congruent here if and only if their images are same here. If and only if phi of A is equal to phi of B, this is of course in L1. Then in this case L1, okay, is isomorphic to R, then L modulo theta is actually isomorphic to L1, is an isomorphism. So this L1 is actually homomorphic image of this map because it is onto, right? So if you try to understand why it is called homomorphic image, that is same as L modulo theta should be isomorphic to, because this map phi is onto map, so phi of L is same as L1. So this L1, in place of L1 I can write phi of L. So this you might have seen in group theory also. Whenever you have a onto homomorphism, then G modulo H is isomorphic to its image and so on. Is that clear? So same thing we are proving here. Similar to such result, let's prove it. So to prove this result, we will try to analyze what are the maps we know. The map phi is given to us. Phi is a map from where to where? This phi is a map from L to L1, which we know that is onto map. This is given is onto. That means for every element here, we have a pre-image here, right? And also, so let me write this phi here so that you can understand. So phi we have a map which is from L to L1, and just now we discussed there is a natural homomorphism phi that you can call it in another way, from L to L of theta. So from L to L of theta we have another map. From L to L modulo theta we have a map. You can say this is a natural map, natural homomorphism. Now what we require an isomorphism from L modulo theta to L1. That means somehow we should get a map, okay, so I can use that different color so that we can understand. So somehow we should get a map from L to L1 such that this should be an isomorphism, okay. So what is the idea? The idea is we should somehow send every an element here to here. How we can send any element here to here? Through these two maps, okay. So take any element x. If we take any element x here or a whatever, then how this will be going here? Its image, namely phi of x. But on the other hand, this x will be going to here what? X is going to theta of x. It's congruence relation. Okay. So what we should expect is whether x from here to L1 it go in this way or x go from L to L modulo theta then L1. It should be same. That means we have to expect that this theta of x should be same as phi of x through this map. Okay. So we will define, suppose call it psi. Okay, we will define a map psi from L modulo theta to L1. How we will define? How we can define this psi of, how any element look like in L modulo theta is theta of x. Okay, is defining as what? I have explained everything in this diagram that you can see it here. This x This theta of x means there is an x is coming from here and that x is going to phi of x. So we will define this psi of theta of x as phi of x.
Phi of x.
Yes. So that's why you have to understand through diagrams, then we can easily understand. We have to somehow send an element of this L modulo theta to L1. So how we will send? If you take any element here that is of the form theta of x, where that x is coming from L. But we know that x is going to phi of x, that is an element of L1. So simply we will send this theta of x to L1 so that this diagram commutes, right? Okay. Now, what are all we have to show to make sure that this is a isomorphism? Because we have defined, first we have to make sure that psi is well defined. Okay. Then psi is of course 1 1 and onto, and psi is a homomorphism. Okay. If we prove these things, then psi will become a isomorphism. So therefore L modulo theta will be isomorphic to L1. This well-definedness and 1 1 is very easy. That means what we will prove? What is meant by saying it is well-definedness? If and only theta of x is equal to theta of y, then psi of theta of x is equal to theta of y we want to prove, right? So you can observe that this theta of x is equal to, so whenever two elements are equal here, if theta of x is equal to theta of y is same as saying that x is congruent to y modulo
Y
theta.
modulo theta.
So x is congruent to y modulo theta. But how this is defined? X is congruent to y modulo theta if and only phi of x is same as phi of y. But phi of x is nothing but psi of, this is nothing but psi of theta of x, okay, which is same as psi of theta of y. Okay, so you can see that therefore whenever these two are equal, this is equal, and whenever these two are equal, this is equal means, so therefore we proved that this psi is actually well defined and it is also one-to-one function, one function. Now we want to show that it is onto. So why it is onto? Why psi is onto? What is meant by saying psi is onto? We want to show that whenever there is an element, for every element A in L1, there is a pre-image. Okay, is this clear? Okay, so start with, let some y is in L1. Again you go to this picture, from this how you can get it? We have y is in L1, somehow we should get an element from L modulo theta. But how we get? From here, because this map phi is onto, we get some element in L, and for that you take this theta of that element and theta of that element go to here. Is this clear? So because since this our map phi is onto, there exists some x in L such that
phi of x is equals to y.
Phi of x is equal to y. Very good, right? This implies what we have, this phi of x is same
Phi
as,
of
how we have defined phi of x is same as psi of theta
phi
of
of
x.
theta of
Psi of,
x.
so therefore psi of theta of x is same as y. So that shows that psi of this element is y, implies psi is on, right? And proving homomorphism is not a difficult one. We want to show that psi of, if we take any two elements, it is just look like theta of x and theta of y, and take their meet. We want to show that it is same as meet individually. But by definition, how this is defined? Theta of x meet theta of y is same as theta of x meet y. Is this clear? Now because it is psi of theta of x meet y, by definition what is psi of theta of any x? Is phi of
x meet
x meet.
y.
But we know that phi is a homomorphism. So therefore this is same as phi of x meet phi of y. But again you going back, phi of x is same as psi of theta of x meet psi of theta of y. Okay. So similarly, you can prove it for joint. Similarly for joint, and hence this psi is a homomorphism, right? So because it is a homomorphism and we already proved it is bijective, this implies this L modulo theta is actually isomorphic to L. Is proof clear? So this is
Yes,
a
sir.
homomorphism which we have seen similarly already in group theory, that any homomorphic image of this lattice L is isomorphic to some quotient lattice. That means from suitable theta. And what is that theta we are defining here? Is A is congruent to B modulo theta if and only if their images are same. That means phi of A is congruent to phi of B in L1, right? Okay. So let me change this color. So we have seen first homomorphism theorem for lattices. You can call some definitions here based on these observations. Suppose if phi is a map from L to L1, if it is a homomorphism, not necessarily onto. Just like in our theorem we have considered as onto, but this is not necessarily onto homomorphism. Then the whatever theta we have defined, theta, the congruence relation theta, then you can call it then the congruence relation theta defined as A is congruent to B modulo theta if and only if phi of A is equal to phi of B is called, this theta, whatever we are calling this congruence relation theta, is called kernel of this congruence, or you can call it congruence kernel, is called congruence kernel of this map phi. Okay, this is first definition. So whenever you have such homomorphism, then by defining this relation, that is called as congruence kernel of that map. Okay. Second one, if at all this L1 has 0, if L1 has 0, what is the meaning of saying that it has a 0 element? That is the smallest element, that is 0 is less than or equal to x for every x in L1. Okay. So if that lattice has L as 0, then you can talk about its phi inverse of 0. We know that it is a lattice. Is an ideal, not lattice. Sorry, it is an ideal. So is an ideal that you can easily check, that is an ideal called kernel ideal, or ideal kernel you can call it, just like how we said here congruence ideal. So it is called ideal kernel of that map phi. Similarly, the third one which we can define is that if L modulo theta has 0, okay, then whatever this theta of A we are considering, then this theta of A is an ideal, okay, is an ideal called ideal kernel, but this is ideal kernel of this relation of congruence relation theta. So these are the few definitions one can observe when we have 5 maps from L to L1. Then this theta, whatever we are defining here, is called congruence kernel, and if at all this has 0, then phi inverse of 0 what we get is called ideal kernel, and if at all this L modulo theta has 0, then this theta of A is called the ideal kernel of congruence. Okay, fine. This is a quick introduction about quick results about quotient lattices. Similarly, we can see another type of lattices now. So let me change this color. So the other relation is you can call it direct direct product of lattices. Okay, direct product of lattices. That means you take, suppose L and K. If these two are two lattices, then you can talk about a direct product or Cartesian product of two sets L cross K. It's a normal Cartesian product. So you can call it small l and small k, such that L is in L and K is in this. Okay, all possible pairs you can get it, and this you can define a algebra. That means you take any two elements A comma B, okay, and C comma D. For these two elements, we can define A comma B meet C comma D. Also, we can define A comma B join C comma D. So these are all natural. So can somebody guess how we can define this meet and join? So that this meet and join are closed with respect to this, so it will become a lattice. So when you take these two elements, the resulting element, however, it should also belongs to L cross K. So how we can define here? By using the fact that L and K are lattices. So how we can define meet and join here, so that whatever we are defining here, that is guaranteed that it is an element of L cross K. That means first coordinate should be an element of L, second coordinate should be an element of K. How we can define? It should be a tuple. How we can define? Because A and C are from where? A and C are from L. So I can talk about A meet C here. Similarly, B meet D. Then A meet C is an element of L. B meet D is an element of K. Right? Similarly, you can define here. So what we are doing here is this: we are doing here coordinate wise meeting and coordinate wise join. Right? So with this respect to this, therefore L cross K with respect to this meet and join, because they belongs to L cross K, this also belongs to L cross K. So this is a lattice. Okay, this is called, this is a lattice. This is called direct product of L and K. Direct product of L and K. So how given two lattices, we are getting another lattice simply by taking coordinate wise join and coordinate wise meet, right? And that is called direct product of L and K. One can you take small exercise and find out. If you are not getting, I will explain that image tomorrow. So you just take one example. Take L, which is C2. What is meant by C2? It is a lattice with two elements, or chain with two elements, 0 and
1 element. 1.
Yes. Then you take K, which is N5. That is called pentagon, right? What is pentagon here? How you can draw pentagon? So this L, that is this L is actually two element set, 0 and 1. Okay, 0 and 1. And this K is a pentagon. How you know how we have drawn the picture, right? So my handwriting is not so good. This is the pentagon, right? So this is 0 and 1. If you want to change to notations, you can write here L0 and L1, just to mention they are 0 elements here. Okay, here K0 and K1. Then you can write this. It is not a problem. A, B, C. So your exercise is draw L cross K. What is this lattice? How it look like? How many elements it will have? This L cross K, because this here you have 2, you have 5 here. So L cross K contains 10 elements. Are you following? 10 pairs it will have, right? So you try to plot those 10 points and try to draw the line wherever it covers the other. Is this clear? Is the exercise clear? So just like L0 comma K0 you will have, L0 comma A you will have, L0 comma C, L0 B, L0 K1. So all such 10 possible values you will have pair. Then for them we have to try to draw picture like this. Okay, that is your exercise. so that you will understand something about this, what is meant by direct product. So one can easily expect that whenever, so a small theorem, there are very easy theorems, that if L is, you can call it L1, if L1 is isomorphic to L2 as lattice and K1 is isomorphic to K2, then obviously what should be our case? L1 cross K1 should be isomorphic to L2 cross K2. Is this clear? Suppose if you have two lattices L1 and L2, they are isomorphic. Similarly, K1 and K2 are isomorphic. Then you consider L1 cross K1, that should be isomorphic to L2 cross K2 as direct product. Is statement clear? Okay. So how we'll prove? Proof is not at all difficult. Somehow we should define a map from here to L1 cross K1 to L2 cross K2. By using that, L1 and L2 and K1 and K2 are isomorphic, right? So we can start with, let's suppose 5 maps from L1 to L2 is an isomorphism, be an isomorphism, and you can call it, suppose psi is a map from K1 to K2. This is also an isomorphism, right? Then we want to define, you can call it, suppose chi maps from L1 cross K1 to L2 cross K2. Okay. Such a way that we should get it is a homomorphism and it is an isomorphism and so on, right? How we can define? You take any two elements here. It is an element A comma B, right? Can you define in such a way that using this phi and psi, so that that is an element of L2 cross K2? Where A is in what? Where A is in L1 and B is in K1. So how we can define this? Such that that is an element of L2 cross K2.
Phi of A.
Very good. So phi of A, then psi of
Psi of B.
Yes.
C.
So if we can define this, these are all comes like natural maps. Okay. Then you have to only verify that this chi. So you can simply verify. Verification of chi is not a difficult one. Chi is well defined. What is meant by well defined? Whenever A comma B is equal to C comma D, then chi of A comma B is equal to chi of C comma D. You have to show that is not at all difficult one. Using the fact that phi and psi are well defined, you can easily get them, right? And you can also show that it is 1 1. Why it is 1 1? So chi of A comma B suppose equal to chi of C comma D, right? This implies what you will get here is phi of A psi of B, okay, which is equal to, see, this is for 1 1 we are proving, this is equal to chi of, that means phi of C psi of D, right? But this is same as saying that phi of A is equal to phi of C, right? And psi of B is equal to psi of D, right? This is same as what we want to prove. If it is 1 1 means whenever f of x is equal to f of y, then we want to show that x is equal to y, right?
Y.
But because phi is 1 1, so from here what you will get? A is equal to C, and from here you will get B is equal
C.
to so therefore
D.
this is same as saying that A comma B is same as C comma D, right? A comma, because A is same as C and B is same as D, so therefore A comma B is same as C comma D. And if you can go it from here, that is also trivial. So that proves that this is chi is well defined as well as 1 1. Okay, both ways you can do. That is clear. Now what you want to show that you want to show that it is a homomorphism, and why it is a homomorphism, and onto also we want to show. First, why chi is onto? Why chi is onto? That means you start with, let call it, suppose C comma D belongs to L2 cross K2. Okay. somehow we should get an element in L1 cross K1 such that chi of that element is this, right? How we can define? By using the fact that these are all isomorphisms, that means phi is a onto map, psi is also onto map. So whenever you have an element here, it has a pre-image. Whenever you have an element here, it has pre-image. This implies there exists A, okay, comma, you can call it A in L1 and B in K1 such that phi of A is your C and psi of B is our D. This is same as saying that chi of A comma B is actually our this C comma D. Is this clear? Because chi is defined as phi of A and psi of D. That shows that if you want, you can just write one more step. This is same as, by definition, chi of A is defined as phi of A comma psi of B, but phi of A is C here and psi of B is D. So therefore chi of A comma B is C comma D. So therefore chi of A comma B is C comma D. It shows that chi is on. Okay. Now last one, we want to show that chi is a homomorphism. So why chi is a homomorphism? So with respect to meet and join, we want to check. So take any two elements, chi of A comma B and C comma D. Suppose try to meet with this. This is same as first internally how meet is defined. Meet of these two is nothing but coordinate wise meet, right? So therefore you will get this. Is that clear? But chi is defined as what? Chi is defined as in terms of phi of A meet C and psi of B meet D.
B meet
Right?
D.
But now we know that phi is a homomorphism. Phi and psi both are homomorphism. Therefore this is same as phi of A meet phi of C. Okay. There is no bracket here. Come on. Right? And then this one is psi of B meet psi of D. Okay. Now this is coordinates having meet, so I can take meet outside. So therefore this is same as phi of A psi of B meet with phi of C meet comma psi of D. Is this clear? Because it is a coordinate wise meet we have, so we have taken meet outside and we have written as meet of coordinates, right? But this is by definition is same as what? Chi of A comma B
A comma
meet
B.
with chi of C comma.
Chi of C comma D.
So similarly for join, so whatever we are getting, similarly it is true for join. Therefore chi is actually an isomorphism. Okay, so that shows that this, whenever we have two lattices L1 and L2 are isomorphic and K1 and K2 are also isomorphic, then their Cartesian, you can call it Cartesian product or direct product, then their direct product as lattices, they are also isomorphic, right? And you can define this for n number also, any number also you can define, it is not a problem. What we do is that we will also work on congruence relation. That means if L and K are two lattices, okay, and on L we have a congruence relation and on K also we have a congruence relation, then what can you say about, can we have a congruence relation on L cross K? So what is the next result? So our next question or theorem is about congruence relation on this Cartesian product. Okay, so let L and K be lattices. Now if theta is a congruence relation, if theta is a congruence relation on L and suppose you call it phi is a congruence relation on K, then this theta cross psi, okay, given by or defined by, you can call it, you take any two elements a comma b and c comma d. So they are congruent with respect to this theta cross phi if and only if, what should be your guess? If and only if this a and c, a should be congruent to c modulo theta and b should be congruent to d modulo
D
phi.
modulo phi.
So whenever this happens, then we can say that a comma b is congruent to c comma d over this. Okay, then this you can check that then this is a congruence relation on L cross K. And not only that, the whatever if you take any congruence relation on L cross K, it should be of this form. Okay. Moreover, any congruence relation on L cross K should be is of this form. That means any congruence relation also if we take, it should be of like this. We can able to write that is in terms of theta and phi. Okay. So we can just quickly prove the one part and we will see in next class the remainder. Okay. The easiest one is that we prove you show that this theta is a, whatever we are defined here, theta cross phi is a congruence relation. What is meant by proving? So our claim is that this theta cross phi is a congruence relation. Okay. That means we want to show that it is an equivalence relation which also satisfies substitution properties, right? Okay. So why first one is reflexive? So we want to check reflexive, right? That means what we want to show, if you take any a comma b, this should be is congruent to a comma b modulo
A
theta
comma B
cross
modulo phi.
theta. And this is true. Why this is true? Is true because if you take a is congruent to a modulo theta because theta is an equivalence relation, so it is reflexive, and b is congruent to
B is congruent to B modulo phi.
phi. So therefore this is true. Is this clear? So reflexive is simple. Now what we want to show? To show it is an equivalence relation, symmetry. So start with let a comma b is congruent to c comma d, right? Modulo theta cross phi. We want to show that c comma d is congruent to a comma b. But what is the meaning of this one? How it is defined? We know that a is congruent
to C modulo theta.
And b is congruent to
B is
D
congruent
modulo.
to D modulo phi.
Yes. But using theta and phi are what? They are congruence
Equivalence
relations. Yes. So they are equivalence. So c is congruent to a modulo theta and d is congruent to b modulo phi. That shows that c comma d. Therefore, by relation again, c comma d is congruent to
A comma B modulo phi cross theta.
Modulo theta cross phi. Is this clear? So therefore, our side, whatever that this one is transitive, right? This theta cross phi is transitive. What is third one? The third one we want to show that this is this is symmetric. I'm sorry. So this is, so that is our third one. So we will right here. This is, we want to prove that our theta cross phi is transitive. This is symmetric, right? So we have done symmetric. So what is third one? So third one is transitive. So to show transitive, what we want to show that we have to consider let a comma b is suppose a comma b is congruent to c comma d modulo this theta cross phi and another one C comma D is congruent to E comma F. Okay. Then using the fact that what are all we get, because every time we use either theta and phi are congruence relations. So we get that A is congruent to C modulo theta and C is congruent to
C is congruent to E modulo theta.
That shows that A is congruent to E modulo theta. So similarly, there is no need to write much things. Similarly, what you get here is B is congruent to D and D is congruent to F. So B is congruent to F modulo phi. So that shows that A comma B is congruent to E comma F.
E comma F modulo theta cross phi.
Okay, so that proves that this theta cross phi, therefore theta cross phi is actually an equivalence relation. Is an equivalence relation, right? Now, what is meant by proving it is it satisfies substitution property. So next one is substitution property. So to do that, we should start with what? Let A comma B is congruent to C comma D modulo theta cross phi. Okay, you can call it A naught B naught. So A naught B naught and C naught D naught. The other one is A1 B1 is congruent to C1 D1 modulo theta cross phi. So to show substitution property is true means what we want to show? Our claim is A naught comma B naught meet A1 comma B1 should be congruent to C naught comma D naught meet with C1 D1. Okay, this is of course with respect to theta cross phi. Is this clear? How we use that? How we will prove that? What we are know is that A naught from here, what we come here is A naught is isomorphic, A naught is congruent to C naught modulo theta, and from here A1 is congruent to C1 modulo theta. This shows that A naught meet A1, okay, is congruent to C naught meet
C1.
By using that, theta satisfies substitution property, right? So similarly, applying for phi, what we will get is that B naught meet B1, right, is congruent to what is that other one? D naught, right? D naught meet
D1.
Oh, 1 to 5. So, but therefore, this is same as saying that this implies A naught meet A1, okay, comma B naught meet B1 is congruent to this C naught meet C1. One second. Whether anywhere we have written something wrong. This A naught meet A1. So here we want to. This is same as A naught. This claim is same as proving that what is A naught meet A1, B naught meet B1, right? Should be same as C naught meet C1, D naught meet D1. That is what we want to prove, right? Is this clear? And that we are already getting here. C naught meet C1, D naught meet D1, theta cross phi. Okay, so therefore that shows that this is actually satisfies substitution properties. Therefore theta cross psi is actually a congruence relation on L cross Q, right? We will see next class the converse part. That means if we start with any congruence relation, then we want to show that suppose that means let psi be a congruence relation on L cross K. What we will claim is that psi is actually theta cross phi for some theta and phi. So we will define what is our theta and we will define what is our psi, and we'll that is a congruence relation on L and congruence relation on K such that psi is equal to theta cross side, right? So this we will see in next class. Okay.